Relax, it's just sports, and we need you to relax because we got a lot going on. Like for a random week in December, which I guess is like a hot time.
Yeah, it is.
It's buzzing. Okay, we're going to talk Bengals Bills. Sorry. We're going to talk about the Bengals in the future. But like even from that Bengals Bills, so much came out of that game. And not even just talking about like their hopes for the playoffs, like news around the game. And this week, a ton of Bengals news dropping and NFL news in general dropping. Baseball, we talked about last week. We talked about it this week. Winter meetings going on. Something always happens. And some things did fully happen.
Yeah.
Fully things happen.
Not great things for the Reds, but things happen.
Pause. I actually do think some great things for the Reds happened, just they didn't get Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
But I've been loving what Terry Francona's been saying, which I usually do. Basketball crosstown shootout, yikes, and for one team, great for another. And we're going to talk about the future for both UC and Xavier. College football, UC's in a bowl game, college football playoff out. Cincy dude in the news, and then we send you on your merry, merry way this merry, merry time. Okay. Ready to rock and roll?
Yeah.
Bengals. They lose to the Bills 39-34 in what was a gut-wrenching loss. But how much gut do they have left to wrench?
I was literally about to say that. I was like, I guess it was, but at the same time, like, you were almost out of guts.
Up by 10 in the fourth quarter, back-to-back interceptions, lose the game by 5. That's kind of gut-wrenching.
Well, I think it's just crazy because I think if somebody said, hey, Marshall, how do you think the Bengals are going to lose? You would not pick Joe Burrow throws 2 interceptions.
No, I would put gives up a late fourth quarter lead.
Yes.
That I would pick.
Yes. Yes. And it's not like the defense we're going to be so glowing of today or anything like that.
I'm not going to be hating on them like I have in the past, though.
No, but I don't think like the defense was like superstars this week. I just think it was shocking the way that this happened. Very uncharacteristic.
Yeah. Snow game, which was beautiful. Gorge. And Mike Gesicki told me that it was actually a dry snow. Como say what?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with
that. He explained it to me. He's like, it might not make a lot of sense. I'll probably put this bite out on social media so you can see what he said because I haven't posted anything about it yet. But Mike was explaining how he has played a snow game once before, and it was a very wet snow, like hard for the receivers. Because one of my question to him, which I think we've been seeing, I saw a lot of on the internet during the snow game, is it's like, is it more difficult a snow game for the wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, or for the secondary on defense? So I asked him that, and he said, it kind of depends. The first snow game he said he played in, it was a wet snow. And when he went out there for warm-ups, and you're worried about catching the ball, like it's slipping through your hands, like everyone would say. He said he was catching, and he goes, oh, this isn't bad. So he's like, snow can't be dry, but that was kind of how he described it. Now, he said running routes in the snow, a nightmare. And this is Mike Gesicki, who had a very good game. He made a couple really big catches on third down, scored a touchdown. And he wasn't using it as an excuse. He's like, both teams playing this. But it was very difficult to get your footing in the ground, which inherently makes it more difficult for a secondary because at least the offense knows the route they're going to take and they can mentally prepare. But he said, like, trying to stop and change direction was very difficult. Also, Mike Gesicki, real quick note before we dive into this Bengals-Bills game more, did you see his Peyton's Places?
No, I didn't.
I
don't pay for ESPN Plus or whatever.
The clip was everywhere. Was everywhere. So, and I remember they filmed this during training camp. Peyton Manning came, and it was with Joe Burrow's in it, but like the clip that I loved was Peyton Manning, Mike Gesicki, and Zach Taylor. They used one of the original helmets that Paul Brown had with a radio in the helmet, and Zach Taylor had like this big like radio frequency like from like the 50s. Actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like you saw how the radio used to be in like the single bar old school Bengals helmet, and how Mike, Gesicki, Zach, and Peyton were all acting. And I was texting Mike about it yesterday. I was like, dude, this was great. And he was like, Peyton was so funny. And I said to him, my favorite part about it was that none of them were good actors. But Mike was by far the best actor. Seeing Zach acting.
The bar's low.
It's a good chuckle. It's on social media. I'm sure you could find it if you have ESPN Plus and want to watch it. Shameless plug for that. But just see, it was nice to see Mike and Zach have a moment to shine, because whenever it's like big like Hollywood moments for the Bengals. It's Joe Burrow and
It's
Jamar
always
Chase.
Joe and Jamar, yeah.
It was really nice seeing Mike get that moment because Mike is the man, Jersey boy, and Zach's such a good guy. It was nice to see Zach in front of the cameras for like a happy reason this season, like something fun.
And that's because they filmed it before the season.
Got to be the downer, but yes, it was very good. They're in shorts. You could tell it was in the summertime. Okay, so that was the reason we got on that Mike tangent was the snow.
Yes.
So as far as the game itself, Bengals at first looked great.
Amazing.
3 drives, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It looked like, forget playoffs, this team's going to win the dang Super Bowl. Like the way they were playing.
Okay.
I mean, the defense made 2 stops. They let up, and against the Bills, who were, a Super Bowl potential team in the AFC. I know you say that like hesitantly, but like who out of the AFC is going to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
So like
Somebody has to.
Somebody has to. They look good in the first half. Second half happened. They look real bad. Real bad. Defense tackling in snow was even worse than tackling without snow.
And mind you, the tackling hasn't been good without the snow. So.
It's been bad.
Yeah. And in fact, like I felt like the past 2 weeks things had been going well. The defense was, as we had talked about, getting better. The Al Golden scheme was kind of coming together a little bit more. And I think we can blame the snow, but I think it's also just like
I wasn't blaming the snow. It was a joke.
I know you were. But I'm like, you can blame the snow, but also it's just like I think they were shocked by the power of Josh Allen and Cook. And I also think that...
Which we predicted.
And I think that they have continued to struggle with tight ends, and the Bills just happen to have really good tight ends.
Yeah.
Because I think some teams don't utilize their tight ends
And they
very
have
well.
the reigning MVP.
Yeah. I said Josh Allen.
No, I know, but it's just the Bills just did what they just do what the Bills do.
Yeah, but I think like the Bills have been a weird team this year because they haven't been great at throwing the ball. Josh Allen hasn't been great at throwing the ball because there really is nobody to throw to.
But now you have tight ends wide open.
I mean, but yeah, and I'm saying throughout the season the tight ends were not wide open.
Right, because they didn't play the Bengals.
And so I'm starting to identify that the Bengals just cannot figure out how to guard tight ends, and that's just going to continue to be an issue because everybody knows it.
Yeah.
You saw it with
We've
the
seen
Bears
it all
game.
season.
You saw it, yeah.
Saw it with the Bears game. Saw it with the Jets game. Saw it with the Ravens game.
Yeah. So at this point, everyone's just gonna.
Steelers, the week 1 against the Cleveland Browns. Fannin went off.
Yeah.
And this has been a trope for years with the Bengals. This isn't a new thing, but they can't defend tight ends.
Well, I think it's not a new thing, but I also think it doesn't help when your people are rookies.
So, speaking about that, you're talking about the linebackers specifically with Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter. Pro Football Focus has them ranked as the 82 and 83rd out of 82 and 83 linebackers ranked.
Hey, and you told me earlier this year that you don't care about the rankings of Pro Football Focus.
I don't.
I just want to put that out there.
I'm just using a metric that people keep saying.
Yeah.
I don't really care about the rankings of Pro Football Focus, but it is a metric that we could say to go with.
No,
what
it's a legitimate issue.
And I don't think they're going to be bad NFL players. You're just asking 2 rookies to learn on the fly. It's their 13th and 8th start, respectively, in the NFL between Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter. And I think they're good guys, and I think that the guys like leaders are made of, like the good stuff in them, how they act. But they have to learn on the fly, and this isn't a defense that you necessarily want to be learning on the fly with.
Yeah, I feel like the Bengals are just the old story about, oh, I'm trying to cover up this hole that I have in my boat. Oh no, a new hole pops up. Like, we were talking so much about how the O-line was struggling. I actually feel like the O-line pulled it together this season, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because now your linebackers are struggling and your secondary is struggling. Like, they cannot figure out how to at least
Which is
plug
crazy because
holes.
DJ Turner leads the NFL in pass breakups.
Yeah, no, DJ Turner's been great, and by the way, not at all in the Pro Bowl vote whatsoever.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they released like the top 5 candidates for the Pro Bowl vote. He is nowhere to be seen on that list.
It is low-key tough to put up.
Get on a Pro Bowl.
When you're like on one of the worst defenses in NFL history and you play
it's
defense. That's not against DJ Turner, but the lucky thing for Bengals fans about DJ Turner is he's young on his rookie contract. He could have a long career in Cincinnati. Okay, so in that second half, the plays that everyone was talking about were the 2 interceptions by Joe Burrow. So the first one, I mean, Brenton just made the play of a lifetime. Yeah. Like Joe Burrow should not have thrown the ball like that. And I think he just was in the right place at the right time, made a great athletic play, pick six. Freak things like that happen. It was Burrow's first interception he threw all year, which I know is only his fourth game, but still, like, one interception every 4 games isn't bad. Like, that's okay. Yeah. The way the interception happened, the time it happened was bad. What was real bad was the next play. It was like a la J.J. Watt, the SWAT, and stopped the line of scrimmage, intercepted, and the Bills scored again off that. And you can't be giving points to the other team on offense when you have this defense.
Yeah.
So I think essentially they gave up 14 points. And also, how about this for the second week in a row, going back to the Bengals defense real quick, the Bengals punched a ball out at the goal line for the second week in a row. I mean, don't want to rely on that, but I don't know. I think the defense, like, it's not a good defense, but it even played better against what is a good Bills offense.
Yes, I completely agree.
So listen, at this point in the week, you've heard all the breakdowns. I don't know what we're adding really to when it comes to the breakdown of this game, but let's talk about all the things around the game, like post-game specifically.
Yeah, so I was watching videos post-game, obviously. I'm not working. I'm just vibing at home. And I'm watching the interviews with Joe Burrow. Yeah. And tell me if I'm wrong, because you are the expert here on this, but I watched it and said, he doesn't seem to care. Like, he definitely cares that they lost, but he's not in that, well, we could still win on a 3-team tiebreaker for the playoffs and we could still do this. It was more so, I'm going to do the best I can. We'll see what happens.
And that's not crazily different than what he normally thinks. It was how he looked saying it. He was being chummy and joking around, which I'm not going to complain about.
But it's not joking.
That's not like him. He'll do it after a win. After a loss, never. After losses, he's usually mad. And he said he kind of got some perspective after this injury, and he knew it would be an uphill battle. And the phrase he kept using, that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
No, literally my kindergarten teacher.
Literally Steve Carell's character in Bruce Almighty. Yeah. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. I like it. So that was kind of crazy. And he doesn't, and I'm not going to complain about this because I like an easier going Joe Burrow in the sense that he's great, better for me to deal with. But that wasn't like him.
No.
It was
felt weird.
It did feel weird. And the comment that was spot on, this isn't where we want to be as a team. This isn't where we want to be as an organization. That's giving foreshadowing to me.
It is, but we've talked about this. You've been pretty adamant that you don't know what they could do or what they would be willing to do as an organization.
So here's what I will say. Joe Burrow is the reason Jamar Chase and T. Higgins got paid.
Yes.
Joe Burrow is the reason Trey Hendrickson got more money this year. Joe Burrow could be the reason changes happen. It could be the reason front office changes happen. As long as your last name isn't Brown or Blackburn, Joe Burrow has the power to make decisions. And he loves Zach Taylor, as far as I can tell. And I don't think he wants to do this without Zach. Everyone else, though. I mean, he loves Dan Pitcher on OC. I'm not talking about coaching staff right now, though. I could see Joe making statements to player personnel decisions, a la Duke Tobin. I could see Joe saying something about that. He'll never admit it, but we're not where we want to be as an organization. Everything Joe does is calculated. I think if Joe, no, I've told you before, I don't think anything's going to change. But Joe Burrow, at this moment, has the power to make a change if he wants to, and I wouldn't be shocked if he does.
Yeah, I think something that's really confusing to me is his so-called backing or passion for Zach Taylor to remain. I mean, I understand that. Do you think he loves Zach Taylor because he kind of gets to be in charge?
Yes.
And Zach, okay. Or do you actually think that he's Zach Taylor is the coach that can lead us to the promised land?
Two things can be true. Because I think Joe thinks Joe is the person who can lead them to the promised land.
Yeah.
And Zach Taylor is a head coach who listens to him, works with him. Zach's a player's first head coach. I think a player wants a player's first head coach. And Zach understands Joe. Zach understands Jamar Chase, who is not the easiest to understand. And
Yeah, but there's always a superstar out there like Jamar. A lot of coaches have dealt with people like that.
And a lot of them have failed.
Not I really think, like, yes, in the grand scheme of life, a lot of them have failed. There are coaches out there who I think could do better with this team.
I'm not saying they.
And it's not like there's only one.
I'm not saying that. Of course, there's always someone who could do something better in any job. No one ever has the job that they are the number one person in the world for. Like, that's very rare in anything, in any walk of life. But I just think Joe likes that this could be Joe's team with Zach there, and he likes that Zach was a quarterback. Zach is an offensive guy, and him and Joe collaborate.
Joe, if you need help, talk to me. I can find other people for you.
Well, think of Joe's career real quick. Before he had Zach Taylor, who did he play for? Ed Ogeron, who was like, players coach, but he's a coach. He's a guy who's gonna, he makes his own decisions.
Sure. I don't actually know how many decisions Ed was making, but sure.
He was a face that was bigger than the program.
Sure, that is
That's
accurate.
what I mean.
But I don't think that Ed Orgeron was like, no, we're running this scheme. Like, I actually don't.
And he also has a lot of respect for Ed because Joe Burrow became Joe Burrow under Ed Ogeron.
Yes.
But my point is, he's played for Ed Ogeron and he played for Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Who was famously not a player's coach.
Yeah.
Just ask the Jacksonville Jaguars and their kicker, who he kicked. And I think he likes to be coached, but now he's at the point in life and career where not that Zach Taylor isn't coaching him, not that Dan Pitcher isn't coaching him, but that he has as much input. You know the devil you have, you don't know the one. What is it? You know that you work with the evil you know, not the one you don't.
Yeah, I think
I don't think Zach Taylor's evil.
No, yeah. I think that the thing for me is that the NFL is built on player-first mentality. Like, Urban Meyer doesn't fit in the NFL because they don't want you to be the coach who's over everything, right? And I'm just saying, I think I can find 5 to 6 coaches who are player first, who would let Joe be the man.
Sure.
And would collab with Joe, but maybe have different ideas. Maybe have new, fresh ideas. If I were Joe, I would want new and fresh. I wouldn't want the same thing I've had for 5 years. That hasn't worked.
Well, for Joe, it's worked. Joe is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And
I know, but even Joe is getting slack for like, oh, well, you're so good, but your team can't make it to the playoff.
Well, it's because he's hurt.
But I think he's getting slack for that. People are like, oh, you're always hurt. You're not actually this. You're not actually that. I mean, the person that you said that maybe he wants to replace, Matthew Stafford, he's with McVay, who is a player-first coach, but is going to give you new, fresh ideas.
And what are the differences between McVay and the other guys that I'm talking about? McVay's a huge name. McVay isn't the first name that comes to mind when you think of the Rams.
I know, but I'm saying, same thing with the Vikings. I think same thing with you
think KOC is doing better than Zach Taylor right now?
I think that KOC has a better track record than Zach Taylor right now. I really do. And
you know what Zach Taylor would say, or what other Bengals fans could say?
Oh, I know what Zach Taylor would say, which is
we went to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game. Yeah.
Yeah.
That Cincinnati. I stand on this. Bengals fans and the coaching staff in the Bengals is the only organization, probably in America, maybe you could argue the Dallas Cowboys, that live off of a Super Bowl appearance from 5 years ago.
Definitely the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, because that's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But really, no other fan base does that, and no other team does that, and whatever. So that's where what I got from Joe is like, if they don't win out this season and magic happens and they're in the postseason, this is the first time I'm saying changes could be coming.
Okay, and you think it'll be Duke, which makes sense. He's the only one that's actually expendable in that world. And
I think it'll be up to Joe because Joe holds all the cards.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's do some quick news because a lot happened this week. Mm-hmm. You were there as Zach Taylor announced that they were releasing Jermaine Burton.
Yeah.
The failed Jermaine Burton experiment for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. That's okay.
Which also links to Duke Tobin, perhaps.
Not perhaps.
Yeah, I know.
It goes with the inability to draft the right guys.
Yeah.
Outside of like the obvious ones, by and large, they have not drafted well. The majority of their drafts picks are not hits.
Yeah.
The last 3 or 4 years.
And a lot of their hits are like Chase Brown, because Jermaine Burton was a 3rd-round pick.
And Jermaine Burton was a first-round talent.
Who had issues at Alabama.
And Georgia. What? So Georgia, known to have amazing athletes, not known to have people who normally follow the law.
And the rules.
And the rules. But the law specifically, and I'm not putting Jermaine Burton in that category right now.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is Kirby Smart might lead the NFL. Kirby Smart, the head coach of Georgia, might lead the NFL in guys who have been arrested for DUIs and speeding. More speeding than DUI.
More speeding, yeah.
Speeding, not DUI. Sorry about that. I don't mean to generalize. And he didn't want Jermaine Burton on his team anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably saying something. And then when he was drafted by the Bengals, Nick Saban on TV was essentially like, good luck to them. If they could figure him out, he's a great talent, but good luck to them.
Yeah.
And he came in camp and looked great. He looked great, and he had chances, but we will never know the full Jermaine Burton story. He was late to practices. He was missing meetings.
Perhaps missing a plane.
I don't know about that.
That was like the assumption for the Bills.
For the Bills thing, that he missed the plane.
Yeah. But he wouldn't, Zach Taylor famously would not comment on it.
Zach Taylor would not comment on any of it. I mean, there's the picture of him in the Hard Rock Casino.
Yeah.
There's how he was evicted from his apartment.
There's police reports
There's
from
police
the
report.
girl he dated. Yeah, there's a bunch.
There's like allegedly over $10,000 in damage to his apartment from a family dog. And that's it. Like, the interviews matter, the people matter, and I guess you take a flyer on a first-round talent in the 3rd round, and it just failed.
I will say, I'm sure, and Zach Taylor said, we did all we could, basically.
And I think they did.
And I do believe that. I'm shocked that they did that for so long. I thought that they were going to let go of him much earlier.
And he was just never on the game roster. It wasn't the real hit till he was suspended against Buffalo, which was, I think, a $59,000 hit for a game check.
Yeah.
So,
which was clearly the Bengals saying, we're fed up with you.
Yeah, of course. So that's it for Jermaine Burton. No one has to ask me about that anymore, because that would happen all the time. It's like, why doesn't Jermaine Burton play? He's so talented. Yeah, he's talented. But if you didn't know the play that was called, it doesn't really matter.
Same thing with Keon Coleman. It's the same type of energy where it's like these rookies came in, and I mean, even
Jermaine's just an oddball.
Yeah, he was definitely interesting.
Super into aliens and stuff. Like, maybe that's where he goes with his career.
Okay, reach out to Aaron Rodgers, Jermaine. Let's see how that goes.
I mean, and it's a shame, man, because he's so talented. Like, if he just was like, I'm going to do football and like give my life to this for a few years, he could be a wide receiver 2 or better on a lot of NFL teams.
Yeah, I mean, he was the leading receiver for Alabama. That's not a small feat.
No.
Like, that is a legitimate thing.
And like, you watched him, like his raw athletic ability, very impressive. Great hand. But if the Bengals aren't going to put up with you, I don't know who is. And then, Zach Taylor said, I wish him the best. And it might work with the Steelers. Ask Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell.
That's what I'm saying, Steelers with the team.
And Ben Roethlisberger, wherever Mike Tomlin ends up. Maybe he'll go back and get eligibility if he goes back to college. Tomlin, neither here nor there.
Also that day, they announced, weirdly...
Okay, I
know you're going to get mad.
I don't... Listen, this is my thing with the NFL. The reporters, we are with Zach Taylor in the press conference. We ask about Trey Hendrickson. Zach Taylor says he's going to be checked out by a specialist today. He is out this week. We've been asking about Trey every time there's a press conference.
Every day.
45 minutes later, Adam Schefter, who good for him, he is the best at what he does. Surgery out for 6 weeks, Trey Hendrickson. I'm sure his agent told him. Trey Hendrickson's agent told him.
It was very much giving an agent message, yes.
Of course it was.
You can always tell when you read these people's messages if it's from the team or the agent.
Yeah. It's just like, why is the NFL, I get it. NFL's not basically owned by ESPN with NFL Network and everything else like that. And, I also understand that players want to control their own messaging. That's why they reach out to Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, Jordan, I'm not giving him credit because he didn't have it. Just Adam and Ian had it. And it's just like, I get it, control your own messaging, but it's just silly.
Yeah. I actually thought that the language that Adam Schefter used was interesting because he said, oh, well, he was advised to rest and rehab with the team, and clearly that's not working, and this is why he's jumping to this conclusion. Do you think that the team advised that? Do you think that he knew that he was always going to have surgery, but was like, maybe the Bengals will make it to the actual, what was the vibe?
I think nobody wants to have midseason surgery.
Exactly.
Like, Trey's in a contract year. As much as he, doesn't want to be in Cincinnati vibe, he wants to play good football, because how quickly everyone has stopped talking about Trey Hendrickson and started talking way more about Myles Garrett again, who he's in the same draft class as. And Myles Garrett's going for the sack record.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think for selfish reasons he wanted to play. I don't think the team's record mattered. I think, he wants to be on a winning football team.
Well, I'm more so saying I think surgery was probably always in the cards.
I think he probably wanted to wait till the end of the season.
And I was going to ask, do you think that the loss to the Bills was his way of saying, okay, I'm seeing that we lost to the Bills. The chances of making the playoffs are even slimmer than what they already were. I'm just going to go ahead and get the surgery now.
It could be that. It could be a conversation with his agent and his family saying
might as well get it done
I'm
now.
not staying in Cincinnati after this. I want to be healthy for any physicals that I go to when I'm trying to sign a massive contract, because if you're not healthy by that point, that's going to hurt your earning. Mm-hmm. So I think it was probably let me try. And if it really wasn't getting better, and I think, everyone was like, oh, he sat out because he doesn't want to play. He's in a contract year, and the whole thing is about how your health and everything deteriorates at that position after age 30, and all you're doing is proving them right.
I will say, yes, all of that is true. The comments on our post were good riddance, goodbye.
Sure.
See ya. We don't care about you. Vibes, which is very crazy for the guy who literally was the defensive player of the year.
Well, he barely played this year, and he doubled his salary.
But it's oh, how the mighty fall, It was.
It's a what have you done for me lately league.
Yeah, crazy.
And lately, he has washed on the couch.
Yes.
And I feel bad, because if it's at the point where he's genuinely needs serious core surgery, that sucks. So I do feel bad in that aspect, but he did it to himself. He should have. If he wasn't comfortable with the 1 year deal, I don't know.
Go somewhere else.
Well, he would have had to sit out a year.
Yeah.
So it's a tough spot, but he signed the contract.
Yeah, he did. Let's talk. I just said they're not out yet, but the odds keep getting slimmer and slimmer. I don't want to go through everything that we did last time, but they still have a 1% chance of making it, but it requires a lot of work. This is basically last year.
I asked Zach Taylor that. I said that to him. I said, mathematically, you're in the same spot as last year.
Yeah.
And even though this year would be 8 and 9,
instead of 9 and 8.
Yeah, but 8 and 9, this is their first losing season since 2020. And I said, mathematically, you're at, and he kind of cut me off. He goes, we got to win. We got to win. And that's what I told the guys. I know the percentage to make it isn't 0, but it doesn't matter if we don't win, which is 100% true. If they lose to the Ravens, they are mathematically out.
Yes.
So this is a playoff game.
Yeah. My thing is if you're a Bengals fan, are you just exhausted by
I'm over it. I'm sure.
I see them comment because, of course, Caleb has been doing full layouts.
Yeah, we did it together on Sports Ball Sports this week.
Yeah, partial trolling and partially people are you getting my hopes up? And the answer is yes. Bengals fans, yes, you are constantly getting your hopes up for nothing. I feel bad. I constantly feel bad for you all.
Yeah, but you know what? What happens when they win 3 games in a row and we're sitting here and there?
But that is what happens. They win 3 games in a row, and then the Steelers will
I think they'll
beat the Ravens.
I bet they'll go 8-9 this year and miss out on the last game of the year last year.
Exactly, and I'm how annoying for this to continue to happen. I would rather, and I don't ever believe in tanking, but I would rather just
lose them out. Yeah.
I would rather lose to the Ravens right now than win every game.
They won't. They'll beat the Ravens. They'll beat the Ravens. And they'll beat the Ravens.
So let's talk about the must-win Ravens-Bengals game. Probably no T, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the T saga.
This is more than just a T saga. This is an NFL can't get out of their own way saga. Mm-hmm. The biggest problem in the NFL, forget the finances, forget everything, it's concussions. It's the biggest problem in football. Moms and dads aren't signing their kids up for football because they're worried about head injuries. Mm-hmm. The NFL has taken a standpoint to be more serious about head injuries. T. Higgins suffered a bad concussion. against the New England Patriots. What was it, 2 NFL weeks ago?
Yes.
He misses Thanksgiving game against the Ravens due to a concussion. They clear him, and I'm no doctor, but I saw him in the locker room. He looked okay. But I don't know when a concussion is cleared. I'm not going to pretend to. I've had 5, which probably explains a lot about my life. And he plays against the Bills. He's playing a great game. Scores a touchdown.
Yeah, looked great.
Looked great in the snow that it's hard to get your footing in. Everything was good. Then he tries to make a great catch on the sideline, smacks his head on the ground. Mm-hmm. Sat up. Those were concussion eyes. I've seen concussion eyes before. Those were concussion eyes. Comes out of the game. Goes into concussion protocol. Now, from my understanding, concussion protocol, like being checked on the sideline, not concussion protocol, being checked for a concussion is done by the team physician and a neutral party.
Yes.
I don't know who has the final say because they let him go back out there.
So the thing about concussion protocol that I was told was I think the neutral party also still has the say in it, but I was told that it's kind of easy to
Get
circumvent it. Yeah.
Fine.
So
that's the vibe I got because he went back out there.
Maybe they actually did do the test and he just was able to circumvent it.
Well, then he hits his head again.
Yes.
And then he goes back out again. And then he comes back in again. He scores a second touchdown. But he finishes the game. And after the game, he's like, I'm a warrior. That's what I do for my guys, blah, blah, blah. It's scary to hit your head. And then we found out on Monday he's back in concussion protocol. Why was he back in the game?
Yeah. And this
that's the one injury you don't mess around with.
And this is not the same situation as like Brian Daboll, the New York Giants coach, like going in and pulling his player out.
It's a bad look for the NFL.
It's not like the Bengals were begging T. Higgins to come out.
No, T wanted to play.
T wanted to play and somehow was able to circumvent all the reasons that he shouldn't have played and get back in.
But you have to, as physicians, you have to get in the player's way and say, I get you want to play. You're not playing. Like, we talk CTE. We talk about, like, long-term, God forbid, I don't want any of this stuff to happen to T. Higgins or anybody. But there's real consequences for this stuff in life. Like, it's not funny. Like, and I mean, I know a lot of people on the Bengals beat were talking about how boxing, it's all a third party. The physician makes the final call, the fight's over, and that's that. It's scary. And I really hope he doesn't play this week for like his well-being and being just a human being. I hope he does not play against the Ravens this week.
Yeah.
As a person. As far as football goes, yeah, obviously they'll miss him.
Yeah.
But even Joe Burrow was talking about in his post game, like, yeah, his pop-up game has gotten better. He wasn't as tough when we first got in the league, and now he pops right up. I guess Joe also didn't know what was going on then, so, like, I'm not going to fault Joe. But, like, that's scary stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I hate to say this because I know people care more about how they look than anything else, but look like Romeo Doubs. Put on the big helmet.
Oh, the Guardian cap. Yeah.
Be Romeo Doubs. I'm sorry.
It's crazy, too, Tagovailoa doesn't wear one.
Yeah, but
and he's joked about it.
People act like it's so ugly, whatever. I watched the Green Bay Packers, and yes, I can notice his helmet, but I'm never like, look at that loser in the Guardian cap.
We've been hearing this stuff for forever. I remember with baseball players and wearing heart guards after the Little League player died. And I know it was a lot of lacrosse and football players would call them, girly pads when you would wear rib cage pads. Like, we're talking about your head.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's silly. Like, just take care of yourself, and I hope T does that.
So likely no T for the game.
Likely no T for the game. Bengals already have beaten the Ravens.
They have.
And I don't think Lamar Jackson looks like himself, even though he looked much better against the Steelers. The Ravens secondary, I don't think is very good.
The Ravens got screwed in that Steelers game.
Fine, but they still lost. And
the
Bengals fans probably wanted the Ravens to win.
Yeah, but I just want to note, like, the Ravens got legitimately screwed in that game. I thought that was a really BS call and the likely touchdown that they called back. But I will say after the game, Lamar did talk about the Bengals. He said, on Thanksgiving, we should have won, and I had too many turnovers, and I get that. He was like, this game, I don't even know how we lost. Like, I'm not sure what happened. And you can tell that this Ravens team is also... To me, the way we were talking about Joe Burrow being like, that's the way the cookie crumbles, Lamar was furious.
Yeah, Lamar is going to put the cookie back together and eat the whole thing.
Yeah, Lamar was like, we're going to figure this out and pull this together. And so it's a real, like, both of these teams need to win. which one cares about him more? Who's going to go get him more? That's kind of my question for this game.
Yeah, with Bengals Ravens, man, who knows? Whoever knows with this game. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be a lot of points.
Yeah.
And I don't have much more insight than that. I just think it'll be a good AFC North football game, as they love to say. And this is the team the Bengals just beat.
Yeah.
But with 5 turnovers, and I don't know that they'll get 5 turnovers again, but the offense does look great for the Bengals. So if it's a shootout, giddy up.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope it is, because I think that'll be fun.
Let's talk your favorite sport.
Man, winter meetings are always so spicy. It's like if you like tea and you like reality TV, go to winter meetings. Everyone just kind of like loosens their tie, rolls their sleeves up, and then things happen. We'll start the biggest thing that Reds fans probably care the most about is that Kyle Schwarber will not be coming home to Cincinnati. It's almost like someone could have predicted that. That stuff I can predict.
And as I put in the show notes, you are a hater. In
I'm
your
not a
nature.
hater.
Yes.
No, I'm not.
You are a hater. In fact, I said you are always a hater.
I'm not a hater. I'm a realist.
Yeah, I get it. But I think this one, I know a lot of times, I've been here many years, a lot of times they go, oh, the Reds are looking at this guy. Maybe they'll get him. This year, it was the Reds are serious about Kyle Schwarber.
I never said they weren't serious about him. Mm-hmm. I just said they won't be offering him a serious offer. And that was serious for Cincinnati, not for what Kyle Schwarber wanted.
I was going to say, I think they offered him the most serious offer they could offer.
That's what I was always saying. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I wholeheartedly disagree with what you just said. The most serious offer they could offer. That's not true. The most serious offer they were willing to offer, because they could offer $150 million over 5 years, which is what he signed for. They could have done that. They didn't want to. They were worried about their finances anywhere. Yes, the Phillies have more money.
Yeah, I mean, the Phillies do legitimately have more money.
Right, but the Reds have that money.
Yeah.
Like, no Major League Baseball team does not have that capital.
Well, and Barry Larkin even spoke about how badly he wanted him, and he said there has to be ways that we can figure out to defer the money, to do this, to do that. Of course. Did not happen.
They could have. They didn't. And it was basically, they got the offer, and I guess they talked a little bit, but Kyle Schwarber's camp was like, yeah, you guys are out of this. Like,
oh, that's not really what I read.
In the morning
yeah.
Of him signing, Kyle Schwarber's camp told the Reds, thanks but no thanks.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I've got 10 teams offering and
They did. They did have like 10 teams offering.
But I think he kept the Reds along despite the fact that the Reds offer he knew was going to be lower than some of the other teams.
Sure.
I think he genuinely wanted to try to figure something out with the Reds, and then he was
yeah, and that's all great, but he wasn't going to get $150 million from the Reds. So I don't think that makes me a hater. I think that makes me a realist, because I would
think you can be both.
I'm not a Reds hater.
I didn't say you were a Reds hater. I said you were a hater. I didn't put another adjective on that.
I just know what's going on. I mean, look what happened. Edwin Diaz is going to the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. Like that's just like the realistic world that we live in. Yeah, Kyle Schwarber, it was fun for the Reds fans for a bit. Good for the Pirates for making an offer. He was always going to a big market or staying in Philly, and Philly is a big market, or staying in Philly, and that's what he did.
Can we talk about, you just talked about, oh my goodness, maybe Joe Burrow is kind of implying that Duke Tobin needs to skedaddle. Anybody going to say anything about the Reds?
No, they just made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Terry Francona just came and turned this team around in a season. I think everyone's in place, is safely in place. The Reds are, I'd say, 2 or 3 players away, which you can do in an offseason. And I'm not talking about like getting a Kyle Schwarber. 2 or 3 solid pieces away from being like a very established, like potential division winner. And then when you make the playoffs, anything could happen. The Reds, I think, were basically played a playoff series in Milwaukee and then played a real playoff series in LA, and they were just gassed against the World Series champs.
So it doesn't bother you that the Reds will never go after the big guy?
No, they will go after him.
And get him.
We're just not in a place where that's realistic. Terry Francona said it best when he was asked about the Hunter Green trade rumors, and he said, Hunter Green's not going anywhere because we can't attract players like that to Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. And I saw some people on my comments, and I put this on social media, like, you're actually wrong because Hunter Green signed an extension. Yeah, the Reds were actually very smart, drafted Hunter Green, and gave them an extension early. Mm-hmm. So Hunter Green would have been stupid not to take it because no one else was going to offer him that much money at that point in his
he hadn't
career.
proven himself at all, really.
And the Reds saw what they liked, and so the Reds can be a good baseball team. We saw last year they're a good baseball team. They can win a World Series. They're going to have to do it not through superstar sexy names that they don't draft.
Yeah.
Like they have to do it through guys who are homegrown. And in baseball, it's really the one sport still that you can do that, is identify talent, bring them through your minor league system, and win while they're young. And we've seen teams, look at the Texas Rangers a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They did it. And there's no reason the Reds can't be like the Rangers.
Yeah. I just think, I think this kind of goes into...
I know the Rangers are a much bigger market.
Yeah, no, and they are. But I think this goes into a bigger thing, which is like, yes, the Rangers were able to do that. Yes, there's been circumstances where the underdog team has made it. But right now it feels like the underdog is getting more and more squashed in baseball.
Sure, we were close in the American League this year. I mean, Toronto, I know, not an underdog. They spent a ton of money.
Yeah.
But like the Blue Jays as a team give underdog.
Yeah, but
Because a lot of those guys are homegrown.
I'm talking small market vibes. I'm talking the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm talking
The Milwaukee Brewers should have been in the World Series. Like they've just lost to the Dodgers.
But doesn't that tend to happen a lot?
But like
You know what I'm
the
saying?
Brewers
Like,
are as close as anybody. Like I think we're dealing with a dynasty
the
more than we're.
Brewers have been really good since 2018. What do they have to show for it?
They're not performing. They've gotten better in the playoffs, but they're not performing well in the playoffs. But that's not a small market thing. They have the pieces, and they did a really good stuff when they got Churio to a new deal early, like the Reds did.
Yeah.
Hunter Green. That's the recipe for success. Would you consider Seattle a small market team?
No.
No, because I
Because
think.
it's Seattle.
Well, sure, from TV markets it's not, but like, I don't consider them a big market ball club.
Seattle, I would consider Seattle a bigger market, yes.
Bigger than Cincinnati, but like it's not one of the Titans. It's not LA, New York, San Francisco, Boston, Philly.
Crazy to not say Chicago in that. But
Chicago, well, the Cubs, yes, because I wouldn't say the White Sox.
Sure.
But yeah, Chicago as well. They're not one of the big markets like that. They're a mid-sized market.
But I think like that is the joy of baseball, is that yes, Seattle or the Brewers, I mean, I find no joy in the Brewers, but they can do well
Of
and they
course.
can win. But I'm not seeing them win World Series. I'm still seeing the Dodgers win World Series.
Well, the Dodgers have created a superpower.
Yeah.
They just have.
So how do you fix that? Does everybody just need to pay more? Because you just said the Reds aren't going to do that.
No, it's tough. I mean, obviously, the answer everyone wants to hear is cap, but the players will never go for a cap. And if that happens, that's when the lockout's going to happen. I know we keep teasing it. I know our pod's going kind of long today, but the real quick version of it, there's going to be some kind of lockout most likely at some point this year, whether they'll miss games, hopefully not, we'll see. There's the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement's coming up, and you have the owners who want a cap for obvious reasons. One, to be more competitive. But the real reason is they don't want to keep spending unlimited dollars like the Dodgers are, and like having to continue to spend with the Dodgers. Then there's the other side of it where the players, they don't want a cap because they want to make as much money as possible in their earning years, and both are understandable. So at the end of the day, is it going to be the players that are willing to miss out on paychecks, or is it going to be the owners that are willing to miss out on revenue more? And that's when baseball will come back. And that's the simplest way to put it.
And usually in lockout circumstances, the owners end up winning.
Because the bottom of it, the lower end players
who
don't make a ton of money, eventually are like, guys, we need to get paid. And you understand both sides of it. So we'll see. I really hope it doesn't last long. I hope it doesn't happen at all. But this Edwin Diaz to the Dodgers move is putting a lot. But the thing is, it's not because it's Edwin Diaz. Any person the Dodgers signed that was an all-star or an above-average player this offseason, the conversation was going to start.
Well, and it's also like the Dodgers signed him, I have it in here, for a new average annual value for a reliever. So it's like the value goes up for relievers if that's what they're signing. And the same thing with everybody the Dodgers sign. It's not like the Dodgers are just beating the Mets out by $1,000 or like barely one-upping them. They're going over to make everybody have to go up. And this happened in basketball, and now it's happening in baseball.
But basketball has a cap.
Yeah.
And I mean, sort of. But like, and same with football. And I don't think we'll see the cap, though. I just don't. If that is to happen and there is a lockout, we'll have a pod much more deeper in that. Let's talk one more thing about Terry Francona, how I said he was spitting bars and all that.
Yes.
He did talk about Ellie De La Cruz as well, that he thinks he has to do a better job managing him because Ellie De La Cruz always wants to be on the field, and it wound out that his first half was so much better than his second half, and he was playing through like a tear in his quad, and Terry Francona even said, maybe I should do a better job that, like, because he plays so hard, meaning sliding and going for extra bases, that maybe after a night game we have a day game, maybe he should get that day game off.
And he mentioned what we had talked about before, he's so big, the throwing,
exactly.
everything
That's what
is going to impact him.
Yeah, and that's what I said, Barry Larkin talked to me about, and that's what happened.
He did also note that the 2025 team, one of his favorite teams, he knew that they weren't a finished product. He knew that they were good enough to do something. They did. He said that it was the first season ever that he's never had a player miss or be late
to a single meeting.
Which is crazy.
Crazy, especially he's been around baseball as long as he has and as successful as he has been. And I also loved that he said what he said to the team at the end of the year. Remember the champagne showers in Milwaukee to get to the playoffs. Hold on to that feeling. Remember what it felt like to get run out of Los Angeles in 2 days.
Yeah.
Remember both those things when you come back to spring training next year. Love that.
And I hope they do.
Yeah. Tito's great. Like the Tito is what's keeping this Reds team together right now. And unfortunately, he probably only has another year or two.
Yeah.
Just because of age. Okay. We'll run through the rest of it. Hoops. Crosstown shootout. It's been a year, it feels like, since then. But Xavier beats UC at Cintas Center. Copy and paste that segment every year. The game is at Xavier since 2001 because they have not won UC at Xavier since 2001. Trey Carroll, 30 points. They had no answer for him, just none. The rivalry itself, though, this is kind of sad. It didn't have the same pop it has for me the last few years. The players changing, Richard Pitino's first year in it. Guys don't hate each other.
In fact, Carroll and the UC Miller, UC's
Baba
player.
Miller.
Yeah, I was like, what is
They
his
played
name?
together on Florida
They played
Atlantic.
together. Like they have no beef with each other.
No.
Yeah. Nobody's punching anybody anymore.
The whole game used to be about how the players hated each other. Now it's about how the fans hate each other, which is fine. I wonder if it was not 93rd edition. I wonder if it'll make it to 100.
Yeah.
I don't know that it will, especially with big buy game. I don't know. I think, and I also think the coaches put a lot into it too. I mean, I will give Richard Pitino all the credit in the world because I love when a coach does this. After the game, I think he went to Dana Gardens out near Xavier, the bar there, bought drinks for the whole bar. All the fans there. He went there with the megaphone. Xavier fans are the best. I love that. Only some kind of coaches do it. Richard Pitino, I love that he leaned into that. UC's got a lot to fix, and Wes Miller told me he thinks they're they're good and they haven't hit their whole true form yet.
That's for sure.
But they got a lot to fix if they want to make it to March Madness.
Yeah.
I start my weekly conversations with Wes actually tomorrow. That will air on Saturdays on Bearcats All Access, which will be on TV at 11:30 on Saturdays on WCPO, or they usually release them on YouTube as well. But yeah, Xavier has been impressing me, really turning their season around as a whole. My favorite thing was the point guard matchup. The names. Day Thomas versus All Right.
All Right is an insane name, but okay.
Loved it. Before we get to the college football playoff, which we will talk about, University of Cincinnati football team is playing in a bowl game for the first time since 2022. They are playing in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, January 2nd. Mark your calendars.
Memphis, Tennessee. Come on now. This is
I put on my blue suede shoes and I got on a plane.
This is the supreme, when Kentucky was kind of mid, this was our bowl. This was the bowl we went to every year. So congrats, UC, for getting that one.
So a lot of UC players have either declared for the draft, some entering the transfer portal. So like modern bowl games, they've lost their luster if they're not college football playoff. Like Notre Dame isn't even going to a bowl game.
Yeah.
Because like the players don't want to play in them. Well, two things on this bowl game. They're playing against Navy. Navy, their head coach, Brian Newberry, was asked, how many guys will you play? Will anyone skip out? And he basically said, they better all be playing because when you play for the Naval Academy, this most likely is your last football game, and you are going to fight for our country. Thank you for your service, all these midshipmen.
Yeah.
With that said, Scott Satterfield was like, oh, we're going to have to see what's going on. So Navy is going out with their top dogs in that triple option offense.
Oh, yeah. I love the triple option.
Well, UC's defense isn't gonna. Whoever's there to play it, we'll see. Maybe some of their guys will play. I mean, there's rumors Brendan Sorsby's leaving.
Did you see the rumors about how much he was
$4
getting
million.
offered? Yeah.
I mean, there's no way to ever know if those are verified or true.
But also, if that's true, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. You were bigger than the whole sky. You are not staying at UC.
I don't think. I don't know, and I'm not going to speak on Brendan until he tells me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, crazy. So that's the bowl game. But you know what? Maybe it'll be fun. I was hoping for the Pop-Tart Bowl, but because BYU didn't make the playoff, UC fell down a bowl game.
Yeah, they were a little too low for the Pop-Tart Bowl, unfortunately.
But if BYU made the playoff, they could have slotted into that.
And what a dream that would have been for me. To cover the Pop-Tart Bowl,
I would be on that first plane to Orlando. Are you kidding me? Anyway, hopefully UC wins because they need to end the season on a positive note. The best thing is that these guys have 3 more weeks of practice together and something to look forward to for whoever will be on this team next year that is in the building now, because obviously modern college football don't have enough time to go into that. We'll have a whole portal talk episode, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh.
All right, the college football bracket, Big Ten championship, what a game-ish. It was ugly, but it was fun to watch.
It was very classic Big Ten.
Yeah, but not a classic Big Ten coach. Kurt Cignetti, Indiana Hoosiers, famous football school, defeats Ohio State. Their first loss, it was 1-2, so 1-2 just flipped. So IU, the 1 overall seed, I'm glad Ohio State still has a bye. They shouldn't have been penalized for losing to the 2 seed by 1 score. They were penalized, but not out of the bye games.
They were correctly penalized, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So there's all that. There's a lot of talk of who should have been in, who should have not been in. I like that there's 2 non-Power 4 teams in it this year. Tulane from the AAC, where their coach is now the coach of Florida, but he'll still be coaching. Summerall will still be coaching at Tulane, and the James Madison coach is now coaching at UCLA, but he will still coach James Madison for these bowl games. Brian Hartline, the offensive coordinator for Ohio State, is now the head coach at USF. I heard he's down in South Florida the entire week, but he will be coaching for Ohio State as the offensive coordinator at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin was the head coach of Ole Miss. He is now the head coach of LSU, and he will not be coaching Ole Miss because he wanted to, but the athletic director at Ole Miss is not letting him.
Which is a fair thing to do.
He's leaving for another SEC school.
Yeah, so it'll be Tulane with their former coach still coaching them versus Ole Miss with no Lane Kiffin.
And funny enough, Lane Kiffin is probably going to try to swipe some of the Tulane guys because they're in Louisiana too. So the players didn't want Lane Kiffin coaching them anymore. Lane Kiffin said they did, and then they got on social media and say, no, we don't.
Yeah. He did. I did see that he is letting some of his assistants who came with him to LSU go back to Ole Miss to finish the college football playoffs.
That's good.
And everyone was like, how sweet of Lane. And I was like,
he gets a $150,000 bonus for every game they win, and he gets $1 million if they win it all.
This ain't about being sweet.
This is about that new pool he's putting in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and it's also like, hey guys, my whole staff has college football playoff experience. We've done this, we've done that. This is not about the players.
I think it's fully about the raise that he gets for every win they get. And when you get matched up with Tulane in the first round, that's a prime, and the game's in Oxford, I don't care who's coaching, that's a prime game you can win if you're Ole Miss.
So the college football playoffs are just exacerbating the conversation about coaches leaving, screwing their teams over. Are they screwing their teams over?
The most famous one I could think of is in Cincinnati. Brian Kelly, with both Kelsey brothers on the team before the Cotton Bowl, right?
Yes. In fact, Jason Kelsey talked about it on his podcast. They spoke about, we know what it's like, Ole Miss players. We understand. Trust us, we understand. And then I think that Travis and Jason were trying to be like, yeah, we get it, don't worry. And then all of a sudden, Jason just kind of snapped and was like...
As he does.
And he cursed a lot. And he was like, nobody gave an F about us when Brian Kelly left. And he was like, yeah, I get it. Brian Kelly went to Notre Dame. Nobody knows Cincinnati like they do. maybe Ole Miss. Well, it's not like Ole Miss is like some giant. Right
yeah, but in the
still
South
bigger.
it is.
Still
in the
bigger.
South it is.
But
They're the number one
like,
school in their state at least.
But he was like, yeah, I get it. Brian Kelly didn't go from some giant to another giant, but he did completely screw us over in a year where they were very close to actually going to the national championship.
And this was pre-transfer portal. This was pre...
And that's what he said. He said, I was stuck. You know, at least these players can go, okay, well, maybe I'll go with Lane. Maybe I'll go somewhere else. He was like, I was stuck twiddling my thumbs thinking, wow, I hope they bring in a good guy. I hope that somebody comes in and helps.
So that's the interesting perspective from the player. I'm talking about from the coach's perspective, that Brian Kelly left. He didn't have to leave then. He could have waited 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He could have coached them through it, because the reason that these guys have to leave now is National Signing Day, the transfer portal.
The
college football calendar is a mess, and more than I think they need to fix NIL and collectives, which I think they do need to fix and regulate, they need to fix the calendar.
Yeah.
Super easy. I talked to a couple college coaches about this. I'd say like 3 head Division I college coaches, and all of them pretty much said the same thing. Start the season a week earlier, make it, instead of 2 buys, make it 1 buy, and you could get that second buy for the playoffs, sure, if you earn it. And then the season, and boom, 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 it adds up to being done Christmas. Jan 1, open it up for portals and National Signing Day. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I've also seen people suggest a calendar almost like the NFL, where it actually kind of rolls into the new year a little bit more. I mean, there's a lot of
NCAA
options.
wouldn't do that because they don't want it to compete that much with basketball.
Yeah.
Because those are the 2 sports that makes money off
But
of.
there are a lot of options, and the NCAA needs to figure one of them out, because you cannot continue to have seasons where this is happening.
Nope.
Especially if the college football playoffs are expanding even more. It's going to keep happening. More teams are going to get in, and their coaches are going to leave for other schools. It's not worth it.
And it's, especially when you're talking about the non-blue chip programs, if your team makes the college football playoff, you are a prime candidate to go to a blue chip program that will pay you more money and give you more resources.
Yeah.
So we're going to be seeing this every year. I mean...
And, like, nobody's faulting Brian Summerall for going to Florida when he coached at Tulane. Like,
course
we
not.
all get it. But, and thankfully he's staying with them, but wouldn't it be so much easier if he could finish everything out, close the chapter, wipe his hands clean, and say, okay, now I'm going?
I think it's an even bigger thing for, like, for example, Ohio State that I don't think people are talking about enough. It's like Brian Hartline calls the plays for that offense. You know what looked really bad in the Big Ten championship? Ohio State's offense, when Brian Hartline was obviously distracted.
Well, and he was also, one of their biggest recruiters. He's one of the reasons that they have all these high wide receiver talents. That's why Chris Henry Jr. maybe could have left. He didn't.
Yes.
But, I mean, yeah.
But now we're talking about, luckily for Ohio State, they have a bye, so they have 3 weeks to figure out the offense. But Brian Hartline, like, I get it. Like, sure, I'm sure he wants to get a ring, win another, but he already won a national championship there. Yeah. Like, don't you think he's more worried about getting his guys in place at USF?
Yeah. And same with Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is the Ole Miss offense. Like, he created that.
Lane Kiffin, I think, though, is something we're not going to see as much of. Like, it will happen, and Lane Kiffin's obviously a very rare case where he does this all the time.
It's basically only similar to Nick Saban, when Nick Saban jumped to LSU.
Right. So the thing with Brian Hartline is we will see, for the future, like we just saw with Oregon, Will Stein left to coach at Kentucky. Like, we will see coordinators get head coaching jobs in these top markets, and I don't think that will top schools, because I don't think that will get enough attention, because they're like, oh, it's just a coordinator. But, like, if that coordinator's the play caller and they're not, and their attention's divided going into the playoff, that's a big deal. Oh, man. Anyway.
Crazy college football.
Cincy dude in the news time?
Yes. As we kind of mentioned, Jason and Travis Kelce's podcast, they had George Clooney on this week. George Clooney, a Kentucky native, but he grew up in Northern
His dad
Kentucky.
was a news anchor in Cincinnati.
Yeah. He's definitely, and he talked, he's a big UK fan, has the Kentucky roots, but he's a huge Bengals fan. And even more importantly,
he tried out for the Reds.
Yeah. He talked at length. Now the story of him trying out for the Reds isn't new. We've known that he tried out for them when he was in high school, just kind of like showed his talents, whatever. He said recently when he came back to Cincinnati,
Castellini showed him his scouting report.
No, Castellini didn't show him his scouting report. Castellini went up in front of the full audience and read the scouting report out loud, which was of course like terrible arm.
Slow.
Yeah, not fast.
Yeah, so that's cool that he was a good sport about that. George Clooney does rep Cincinnati, which is cool.
Yeah, he definitely reps the area. I mean, more than he's promoting his new movie, I think every single thing he's done, he has spoken about Cincinnati or Northern Kentucky.
I mean,
So,
he's just a
pretty huge.
Cincinnati guy. That's what,
But I
that's what
mean,
people do.
I've known.
He's an A-lister, though.
But I've seen George Clooney speak for decades, and I've never heard him talk that much about it. So I was like, oh my god.
I've heard him talk about his dad before,
Yes.
being a news anchor here and stuff like that. But yeah, that was something I was not expecting this week. But George Clooney talking Cincinnati was like low-key everywhere.
Yeah, and I also read, I didn't like double check this, but I do believe it's true, that Ellen was trying to get George Clooney on her show, and she asked like Brad Pitt, like, how do I get him on? And Brad Pitt said, get one of the Big Red Machine. And she did. I think she like got Johnny Bench or somebody, and he was like, I'll come.
Oh my gosh. Of course he did. Oh, well, George Clooney, one of us. That's what I famously always say about him.
Yeah, just like me.
All right. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
We vented. We got it all out. I think that was fun stuff. Make sure to, I didn't say this at the top of the show, so I'll say it now. Like, subscribe, YouTube, Facebook. Sure, Facebook.
Facebook us.
Yeah, Facebook me. Insta chat me. YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Like, subscribe. Leave a comment. Leave a review. And if you want us to talk about something, hit us up on social media.
Yeah, let us know.
Thanks so much. See you next week.